Ah, yes. The sad artist. You see, the greatest works of art come from the darkest of places. Look at him. The emotion, the pure passion fueled by melancholy. Heartbreak is his muse. He may be depressed, but that's when he thrives.
Wrong! I think we've all seen it. This romanticization that being sad somehow makes people more creative. I'm not going to speak for all artists, but I'd just like to debunk this idea that this is a trait that all artists possess, that depression somehow sparks creativity. Making art from pain while we're suffering from said emotional turmoil. Of course, yes, many of us artists take pain, amongst other emotions, and convey it through our artwork. Some would say that that is what makes art meaningful and filled with passion. The thing is, that doesn't mean the artist literally created such pieces while under stress. Speaking for myself, the only time I can make any meaningful art, and pretty much my best art, is made when I'm in a great mood. To be completely honest, majority of the time my ability to be creative or make any art at all is dependent entirely on my mood. Being in a good mood and feeling some inspiration. So naturally, it's extremely hard for me to do so if I'm feeling depressed. I'm sure this year has had its ups and downs, and maybe the downs have outweighed the ups for many of us. I myself found that a good chunk of this year, I didn't feel much creativity or inspiration. Not to get too personal about my life, but in the span of a couple of months, I experienced a breakup, health issues, and the death of my family. These external issues affected me to the point where I had no desire for anything art related for a bit. No desire to do much of anything, honestly. But back to the myth of the creative depressed artist. Some would think that these issues would have given me the spark to put all of this pain onto a canvas, taking those life experiences and turning them into artwork. That is something I could do, but definitely not while I was going through this. When feeling truly depressed, doing simple tasks seemed much harder, let alone attempting to create art. I have to attempt to get out of bed or off the couch first. A major historical figure in the world of art that seems to be a poster child of depressed artists is Vincent van Gogh. And yes, it's pronounced Gogh and not Go. We all know how he suffered from mental illness, plagued with psychotic episodes, and the famous story of how he cut off his own ear. A story that itself gets misconstrued as far as its true nature. It wasn't even his entire ear, but anyways. Being known as the mad artist, many romanticize his mental illness as being the reason why his paintings were so powerful and why he's regarded to this day as one of the masters. But the tragedy to his success is that he never saw that success. He died before he gained any notoriety. It's said that he only sold one painting in his lifetime. Some say there may have been one more and a few sketches, but in reality, he suffered until the moment of taking his own life. But his art was created when he did feel that spark. I know this whole subject matter is coming off as very depressing, but the point I want to make is that depression should not be romanticized as a mechanism for being creative. We have all of these tropes about the starving artists and successful artists suffering, but we shouldn't misconstrue this as meaning suffering is part of the process of being an artist and the backstory of successful artists. An up-and-coming artist that has been misled to believing this is true may begin to be harder on themselves because when they're depressed, they aren't making art, and that they must not be a great artist because they don't feel the passion. All this means is that you're human. You're not any less of a person if your emotions affect you so deeply that it gets in the way of your ability to make art. Not to mention that clinical depression isn't even emotionally based. Many describe it as feeling nothing. When you have these feelings, Instead of trying to force yourself to focus on art and being productive, focus on yourself. This isn't to say that maybe making art isn't your way of coping. If so, then you've got it an upper hand. The important thing is not to be too hard on yourself when you're not capable of being productive. It's okay, and it's okay to not be okay. Mental health is very important. When you find yourself coming out of that dark place and you feel that spark and finally find inspiration, that's when you can let it take over you, and you may find yourself creating amazing things. We all lose that spark sometimes, and many of us struggle to find it again. You're not any less talented or any less of an artist because you're lacking motivation, and you're most definitely not alone. Many of us face hard times, whether it's external causes or a chemical imbalance. Don't think that just because you're not being as productive as you believe others to be, that you're doing something wrong. You're human. Take your time. Work at your own pace. And when you finally feel that spark again, take advantage of it in that moment. Don't try to force creativity. It will come to you. Focus on your mood and getting back to being you again. Watch your favorite shows. Listen to that playlist. Do whatever helps you mentally. I believe in you. So, once again, if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you. Feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe, and if you'd like to see even more of my work, links to my socials are in the description. Also, I'd like to hear your advice on what you do to cope with the severe lack of motivation. How do you find yourself out of a slump? Comment below.